Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating concept, something we're calling the architecture of failure, and how we actually find strength through struggle. It's a bit of a counterintuitive truth, honestly, because the very things we spend our entire lives desperately trying to avoid, they might actually be exactly what we need the most. Let's get right into it.
So, I want you to picture this place. It's a village called Everbright, and I'm going to ask you a hypothetical. What happens to a village where no one ever fails? Just imagine a completely utopian society where every single plan you make works out flawlessly, and every dream you have just instantly comes true. Sounds like the ultimate paradise, right? I mean, who wouldn't want that? But as we're about to see, perfection has a hidden and actually a really dangerous cost to it.
Just consider Everbright's impossible track record for a second. We're talking zero friction. The children literally never lost a foot race. Every student got 100% on every test. The farmers never had a single bad harvest, and the builders never made a single mistake. Basically, every competition ended in a massive tie where everyone won. Now, there was a young boy named Ishan who grew up in this village, and he genuinely believed this was just how the real world worked. If he tried something, boom, he succeeded. Life wasn't just good, it was almost unbelievably easy.
But here's the catch. Beneath all that perfection lies a massive trap. We all kind of assume that an easy life equals a good life, don't we? But the reality? Living this completely friction-free existence meant the villagers were missing some absolutely critical life skills. Because they never had to struggle, the people of Everbright never developed any grit, any resilience, or any real problem-solving abilities. They thought they were living in a paradise, but really, they were totally defenseless against the actual unpredictability of the real world. Well, everything shifted one summer when this old, curious traveler wandered into town from some distant land. He just sat back, watched the villagers going about their perfect lives, and he had this look of deep curiosity. And then he dropped this incredibly simple yet totally piercing question on them. He just asked, "When was the last time someone here failed?" The villagers just stared at him, totally stumped. Nobody could remember. The traveler smiled, but, it wasn't a smile of admiration. It was one of real, deep concern. And honestly, his concern was entirely justified. Because just a couple of weeks later, disaster strikes. Out of nowhere, for the first time in generations, this massive, violent storm sweeps straight through Everbright. We're talking howling winds, the gentle river suddenly overflowing and ripping out vital bridges. Entire fields of crops are just decimated, and homes are severely damaged. Literally, in the blink of an eye, this perfect little village is plunged into absolute, utter chaos. And this right here perfectly illustrates the real danger of that frictionless life we were talking about. Look at how the village reacted. It was just total paralysis. The villagers completely panicked because, well, they had never faced a real problem before. Some people literally just froze in their tracks out of sheer fear. Others just sat down in the mud and cried. But the most dangerous part? A huge chunk of the town just stood around waiting for somebody else to magically step in and fix it all. They took zero action because they literally didn't know how. They had never once learned what to do when things actually go wrong. Let's actually look at Ishan for a second. He's watching his entire village fall apart, so he decides, okay, I'm going to try and fix my family's damaged roof. But on his very first attempt, the wooden beams slip right out of his hands. So he tries again, but this time he pushes too hard and the wood completely snaps. Now, having absolutely zero tolerance for frustration, Ishan just throws his tools on the ground and yells, "I can't do this." He rage quits immediately, simply because he'd never experienced that feeling of getting something wrong before. So the old traveler walks over to this totally defeated kid, and he gently tells him, "You don't mean you can't do this. You mean you've never had to learn this before." Then the traveler picks up one of the broken planks and just delivers this absolute masterclass in resilience. He asks Ishan, "Do you know how I learned to build? By building things that collapsed. Do you know how I learned to farm? By growing crops that died. And how did I get strong? By carrying loads that were way too heavy for me." And for the very first time in his life, it clicked for Ishan. His failure wasn't proof that he was weak. It was exactly the training he had been missing his whole life. After that, the traveler decides to stick around and completely rewire the culture of Everbright. Over the next few months, he initiates this completely new kind of training. Basically, he intentionally starts assigning the villagers literally impossible tasks. He forces them to experience the struggle they've been shielded from their entire lives. He made them fail, over and over again. And yeah, people were incredibly frustrated. A lot of them wanted to quit right then and there. But the traveler absolutely wouldn't let them. And then, this amazing transformation actually starts to happen. In that first month, it was rough. Just repeated failures, deep frustration, people facing adversity for the very first time. But check out month 3. The carpenters, who had been analyzing why their structures kept collapsing, started designing significantly stronger buildings through good old-fashioned trial and error. By month 6, the farmers figured out entirely new methods to protect their fields because they learned from the crops that died. It was a complete shift. Even the kids stopped being terrified of making mistakes and actually started getting really curious about them. So, fast forward a few years. The ultimate test shows up. Another massive storm hits Everbright, and this one, it's way stronger and way more violent than the first one. The winds are tearing through, the rain is just relentless. This is the ultimate moment of truth. Are they going to freeze? Are they going to panic and cry and wait for someone else to save them again?
The answer is a resounding absolute no. Look at their response this time. Literally no one panicked. The builders didn't wait around. They were out there securing the bridges immediately. The farmers flawlessly executed their new techniques to protect the fields. Even the kids were out there passing out vital supplies through the pouring rain. They worked together as this incredibly cohesive, hyper-capable unit, and they survived it brilliantly. Not because life magically decided to give them a break, but because they had actually built the strengths to handle it. And the core takeaway of all this is captured beautifully right after the storm clears. Ishan goes up to the traveler and asks, "Was the storm our greatest enemy?" And the traveler just smiles and says, "No, the greatest enemy was the life where nothing ever went wrong. Because without failure, you never discovered your strength." I mean, wow, that's a profound realization, isn't it? Avoiding struggle doesn't actually protect you. It actively harms you because it literally robs you of your own potential. Right before the traveler finally packs his bags and leaves Everbright for good, he leaves them with this permanent reminder. He actually carves these words straight into the heavy wooden gate of the village. Easy lives create fragile people. Difficult moments create capable ones. And from that day forward, the people of Everbright completely stopped celebrating perfection. Instead, they celebrated courage, the courage to try, to completely mess up, to learn, and to rise back up stronger.
So, what does this all mean for us? It means we need a massive paradigm shift. We have to fundamentally redefine what failure even is. Actually, scratch that old definition. It is absolutely not the opposite of success. Like the elders of Everbright finally figured out, failure is quite literally the classroom where success is built. It's the curriculum of capability. If you don't have it, you remain completely untested and fragile. When you start looking at the true value of setbacks, the practical application for your own day-to-day life becomes pretty undeniable. Every single mistake you make, it's actively giving you a new lesson. Every setback is basically like lifting weights in the gym. It's tearing down your resolve just to build it back stronger. Every failure is literally prepping you for some future challenge you don't even know exists yet. Sure, a life without failure might feel super cozy and comfortable right now, but it's never, ever going to make you strong enough for the real world. Which leaves us with one final incredibly powerful question. The next time you hit a wall or a project completely falls apart in your hands, don't sit there and ask, "Why did I fail?" That is entirely the wrong question. Instead, ask yourself this: what is this failure trying to teach me? If you can just change that perspective and embrace the struggle, you're going to start building real, unshakable strength today.